So in any situation in the corporate world, you must ask yourself, are you selling a product or are you selling yourself? In high stakes business situations, before anyone buys your pitch, your service, or your solution, they have already bought or rejected you. Kevin Samuels used to say that the first thing that they buy is you. And he was right. When you think about it, research has actually proved it. Research in social psychology, there's one that was titled First Impressions by Willis and Todorov. Research has long confirmed that people form impressions in as little as 7 seconds. 7 seconds from meeting you, they already form an impression about you. They either like you or they don't like you. 7 seconds. Within those 7 seconds, your credibility, your authority, even your perceived intelligence is either reinforced or destroyed. So the real product in sales, what are we talking about? The real product is not what's on the PowerPoint presentation. It is not your company. It is not your product or service. It is the man that is delivering the value proposition. And that man had better be calibrated, he had better be disciplined, and he had better be convincing, or he gets eaten alive in the corporate jungle. So business is warfare. In the corporate jungle, it's all about perception, and business is warfare. The only thing is, as opposed to the battleground we are accustomed to, the battleground here is psychological. Okay? The weapons are invisible, and they're about they're about credibility, presence, and trust. In a world where services are commoditized, where AI spits out proposals in seconds, the differentiator is not the sales deck. Okay? It's not even the product. It's the man in a suit that is presenting it. And it's hyper-sensitized, hyper-standardized services dominate. Okay? The unique differentiator in this kind of environment is no longer the offering. It's not about what you're offering. It's about the operator. Who is the operator? Who is pushing the levers of this product? The man in suit, therefore, becomes the proxy for organizational capability. So the late Kevin Samuels proposed what we call the ABCD framework. A stands for appearance, B stands for behavior, C for communication, and D is for digital footprint. This is your war manual in the corporate. 4 battlegrounds. You have to fight and win in all these battlegrounds. And there it also gives you 4 ways to either dominate or to self-sabotage. Clients don't buy ideas. Clients buy the man that they trust to deliver those ideas. And here is a kicker. In a marketplace that is flooded with sameness, identical pricing, similar services, endless competition, the difference between the man who wins and the man who loses is technical superiority. I mean, it's not technical superiority. Okay? What matters here is perception. And that's where this ABCD framework comes in. It provides you with 4 pillars, okay? 4 battlegrounds, and you miss one, and you either sabotage your own campaign or you destroy yourself. So let's get into it. The first pillar of this ABCD framework is your appearance. Anytime you're evaluating your appearance, before you walk into a boardroom, before you go for that interview, before the panel, before you make your sales pitch to an investor, ask yourself, do you look like someone who deserves $1 million contract? That's what you should ask yourself. You should always be dressed to answer yes to that question. In sales, appearance is not vanity, okay? It's visual credibility. Research confirms that judgments about competence and trustworthiness, they are formed instantly. Instantly. This is documented in a book called Thin Slices of Behavior by Ambadi and Rosenthal. One sloppy shirt, one unkempt beard, one lazy posture, that is all it takes, and you've already lost the deal. A disengaged posture does more than degrade the aesthetics. It erodes executive legitimacy. So appearance is not vanity. It's a strategic brand asset. This is why we say that you need to dress how you want to be addressed. Okay? This is not folk wisdom. This is not a joke. This is not entertainment. This is strategy. Your look is your silent handshake. You need to dress for results, not for comfort. The second pillar in this battleground is behavior. And behavior is basically defined as discipline under fire. When you're negotiating with a client, you need to be able to respond appropriately. What happens when a client pushes back? What happens when a client tells you, we don't have this in our budget? What happens when a client tells you, I bought this product last time and I didn't like it? Okay? What happens when objections pile up to your pitch? Okay? Do you fold? Do you grovel? Or do you hold frame? What happens if you're not prepared? So behavior is the outward projection of your inner order. Behavior is the outward projection of your inner order. So basically, it's an externalization of internal discipline. Daniel Goleman, in his book Emotional Intelligence, he said that emotional intelligence and not IQ predicts long-term professional success. Why is this so? Because people have always thought being intelligent is the most important thing. Okay? It's because people who master their emotions command respect. Okay? Corporate sales is all tension. It's a battleground. We have negotiations, we have rejections, and the man who stays calm through all this, the man who stays patient, the man who stays assertive but never disparate, he is the one that signals strength. The person who is erratic, the person who is overly agreeable, the person who is too needy, projects needy behavior, that is a kind of behavior that screams weakness. And in the jungle of business, weakness is blood in water. The shocks will come and finish you off. So in volatile deal environments, the leader who remains assertive without desperation, calm without passivity, and firm without hostility, that is the leader who communicates authority under fire. Conversely, displays of erraticism, of accommodation, or neediness are coded as weakness, and that is an exploitable liability in a competitive negotiation. The third pillar is communication. Communication is basically weaponized clarity. Let's be blunt. Communication is not about being verbose, it's not about talking a lot. It's about talking with precision. A Harvard Business Review paper, it said that professionals who communicate clearly and concisely are higher in leadership potential, trust, and competence. Okay? Sales is not a monologue, it's a controlled combat through dialogue. You ask questions, you uncover pain points, you align the needs, and then, like a sniper, you close with clarity and conviction. Sales dialogue is less performance than it is controlled sparring. You diagnose a client's pain, okay? You calibrate alignment, and you execute closure with surgical precision. And you must take care of the micro signals like tone, cadence, silence, pacing. These micro signals become decision variables in whether the capital and confidence are extended. So these are not trivial. They are micro signals that the client uses to decide, can I trust this man with my money? The fourth the fourth pillar, is the digital footprint. The digital footprint is going to be like your past. It's going to be the shadow that will follow you wherever you go. Before your client shakes your hand, they have already Googled you. Before they call you back, they've already stalked you on LinkedIn. The site called Career Builder says that 71% of hiring managers, they screen candidates through social media. And from this 71%, 54% are rejected based on digital presence. So this is not just about HR. We're talking about clients, we're talking about investors, and we're talking about your competition too. Okay? So your digital footprint is not optional. It is your public dossier. It is not auxiliary. It's a permanent due diligence dossier. So every post you make, every like, every sloppy rant is permanent ammunition for or against you. Okay? It's collateral that can either be used to fortify you or disqualify you. So your digital persona is a perceptual pre-read of your corporate pitch. Okay? It's a perpetual pre-read of your corporate pitch. It's always going to be there. That's why we say the internet never forgets. It's because your digital footprint remains perpetually in place and it remains your corporate pitch. So, in short, your digital footprint is your perpetual elevator pitch. Make it clean, make it sharp, or pay the price. Those are the four pillars for packaging yourself for competition and for success in the corporate world. Okay? ABCD framework. Now let's go deeper. So sales is not just about pushing products. It's about closing gaps in trust. That's what sales is all about. Zig Ziglar said that if people like you, they will listen to you. But if they trust you, they're going to do business with you. Okay? So it's about establishing trust with others. The ABCD framework is how you build trust before the first invoice is signed. It is how you reduce friction in the deal making process because buyers often decide emotionally, then they justify logically. Men who master ABCD, they stop playing defense in sales. They walk in with a pre-sale advantage. We look at some examples of men who've done this. Barack Obama is a good example, former president of the US. He rose from obscurity to the White House on the back of precision communication and executive appearance. His speeches embodied clarity, calm, and authority. His polished suits reinforced visual credibility. The lesson here is that communication and appearance amplify authority before policy and products are even considered. Another example is Steve Jobs. He also weaponized his appearance by making simplicity his brand. He was always in a black turtleneck and jeans, often blue jeans. So he paired this with communication mastery. His keynotes weren't just product launches, they were cultural events. And the lesson here is that consistency of appearance plus narrative control equal to market domination. What about the men who take this for granted? Okay, what happened to them? I'll give you some examples. Mark Zuckerberg is one of them. Mark Zuckerberg is a very brilliant innovator, but he failed early in appearance and communication. He used to wear hoodies and had an awkward delivery. And this made him appear evasive before Congress. Remember, he had to go to Congress to explain why Facebook is intruding on people's privacy and so on and so forth. But it is only after investing in appearance training and communication coaching that he started repairing his credibility. The lessons there we can learn from Zuckerberg is that technical brilliance cannot substitute for human perception. So the ABCD framework is not just a theory, it is history. The most powerful man in politics, in technology, and in business, they succeed or fail on those four pillars. So to recap, appearance, your visual credibility. Behavior, your composure under pressure. Communication, your precision weapon. And digital footprint, your permanent dossier. You miss one of these, and the others can't always save you. You master all four, and you become the man who not only pitches, but is worth buying into. So, in an era of commoditized services and AI driven solutions, the real differentiator is not the product, it is actually you. And this ABCD framework that was coined by Kevin Samuels is not just about cosmetics, it's about survival. It's a blueprint for turning yourself into the kind of man others trust with their money, with their decisions, and with their time. So ask yourself, when you step into that boardroom, are you bringing a pitch deck or are you bringing a man worth buying into? Because in the final analysis, success in the corporate sales, it depends less on what you're selling, but far much more on who they believe you are. I'll see you on the next one.